So let me start this session by asking you a question. Why do we need packaging for food? So food packaging is important for the following reasons. Packaging plays a vital role in protecting food products from outside influences and damage, and as well as it acts as a container to hold the food and a medium to provide the ingredients and nutritional information to the consumers. The packaging has other functions to do. Packaging helps in product traceability, increase the convenience of usage of food products, and a tamper indicator system during handling of food products. As I mentioned earlier, tamper indication, you should know about dilinol murders or dilinol poisoning that occurred due to the product tampering, ultimately brought revolution in product safety standards by introducing tamper-proof seals and indicators in the food packaging. So what are the different type of packaging available for this? You know that there are different materials like glass, metals, paper and paperboards, and wider variety of plastics in both rigid and flexible forms are commonly used for food packaging applications. The packaging material must have a good mechanical, optical, thermal as well as barrier properties. So what do you understand from this barrier properties, students? So as you know, it is something which prevents the escape of aroma, or it may be the diffusion of vapor and gas from inside and outside the packaging material. So the right selection of packaging material is very important to maintain the product quality and freshness during distribution and storage. Now if you look at the current trend of food packaging material, they are mainly made up of synthetic polymers such as polyethylene, polypropylene, etc. So rapid declination of fossil fuels. Yes, what are fossil fuels, students? Hope you understand the fossil fuels are something once spent cannot be obtained back, isn't it? Can you think of some example of fossil fuel? Yes, the examples includes petroleum, gas, coal, etc. And these fossil fuels are right now the main raw material for the production of synthetic polymers. Increasing concern on environmental pollution due to non-degradable plastics force the policy makers and scientists to find an alternate solution to meet out the demand existing in the food packaging industries. Intensive research in this topic revealed the naturally occurring biopolymers such as cellulose, starch, Chitosan, etc. with suitable modification can be an alternative for synthetic food packaging materials. These materials are also called as green plastics. Green plastics also denoted as bioplastics as well as biodegradable plastics. These are nothing but the eco-friendly new generation plastics whose components are a derivative entirely or almost entirely from the renewable raw materials. A number of standard definitions are available for green plastics. European Bioplastic Organization defines bioplastics as the plastics based material with renewable resources, or as the plastics which are compostable and biodegradable. According to ISO standard, ISO 472-198 standard, biodegradable plastics are defined as the plastics which undergo structural changes at its chemical level under certain environmental conditions, which results in loss of few properties and can be measured by standard tests. The change in the chemical structure results from the action of naturally occurring microorganisms. So there is another standard called ASTM Subcommittee Standard D2096. This standard termed degradable plastics are the plastics that undergoes bond scission in the backbone of a polymer through chemical, biological or physical forces in the environment at a rate which leads to fragmentation or disintegration of the plastics. Now, let us see what are the sources of these green plastics. A renewable planetary biomass is considered as potential raw material for the production of green plastics. Biomass refers to the total mass of matter generated by the growth of living organisms, including plants, animals, and microorganisms. Estimates of the amount of new biomass produced each year range from 100 to 200 billion tons, of which approximately 2/3 is from land and remaining 1/3 is from the water. Let me discuss how the green plastics are classified. The biopolymers are used in developing green plastics, isn't it? These polymers have the capacity to decompose into inorganic compounds such as carbon dioxide, methane, and water by the action of enzymes. Few polymers can be decomposed in a composite site at a consistent rate with a known compostable material. Biopolymers are classified according to their source or the method of production into three major categories. They are: the first category is polymers directly extracted or removed from biomass, such as polysaccharides and proteins. And the second category includes the chemical synthesis from renewable bio-based monomers such as polylactic acid. And the third category is the microorganisms and genetically modified organisms such as polyhydroxyalkanoates, bacterial cellulose, xanthine, fulan used to produce the plastics. The first one is starch. Starch is basically obtained from an agriculture crop such as corn and other crops. Starch is easily biodegradable, inexpensive, and annually renewable material. Starch is a semi-crystalline polymer stored in granules as a reserve in most plants. It is composed of repeating units of amylose and amylopectin. Variation in amylose and amylopectin ratio in different sources of starch affects the properties of starch material. Plastic like starch based film is referred as thermoplastic starch. So, this is another type of starch. It is produced by dry process after incorporating plasticizers such as glycerol and sorbitol. So, in this process, the thermoplastic starch materials in low moisture content conditions are heated above the air class transition temperature using extrusion or thermocompression methods. Heating amorphous polymers above their class transition temperature changes them into a soft and rubbery state, making it possible to form films after cooling. Thermoplastic starch, often called as TPS, are often considered as an alternative to synthetic polymers and especially polystyrene. Commercially available thermoplastic starch are Metribi from Novomont, that is Italy based company, Biopar from Biop, a German based company, Ecoflux from BASF, again a German based company, and Bionel from Showa High Polymer, Japan. Though starch based material has received great attention in food packaging, it has certain drawbacks such as poor moisture barrier and poor strength than the conventional non-biodegradable plastic films used in the food packaging industries. Several research attempts were made to improve the mechanical and barrier properties of starch-based green plastics. Now, we will see in the first category of green plastics, cellulose. So, what is cellulose? Cellulose is basically derived by delignification process from the wood pulp or cotton linders. The cellulose derivatives such as cellulose diacetate and cellulose triacetate are produced by esterification process. These materials can be made into thermoplastic materials by injection molding or extrusion after the addition of plasticizers. They are expensive for bulk usage. Now we see the second category of green plastics, which are obtained using chemical synthesis of monomers from renewable sources. The example includes polylactide, in short it is called as PLA. This PLA belongs to the family of biodegradable thermoplastic polymers, of course no doubt made from the renewable resources. It can also be used as a substitute for low density polyethylene as well as high density polyethylene and polyethylene tetraphthalate. If you look at the process of production, it is basically produced from dextrose obtained from corn starch and is further subjected to lactic acid fermentation. There are two ways by which lactic acid is converted into PLA pellets. These processes are called as polycondensation process and ring opening polymerization process. These are pure chemistry. You can better understand about these processes by going through the links given in the additional information details. If you look at the properties of PLA, it is basically transparent in nature and the material can be subjected to a wide range of processing like injection molding, extrusion, blow molding and thermoforming. Further, one interesting property of PLA is that it degrades primarily by hydrolysis, not by the microbial attack. Because of this, even at a high humidity, PLA will not get contaminated by fungi, mold or other microbes. This is the unusual characteristics of a PLA, which attracts for food packaging applications. Another fact which most of the environmentalists probably appreciate is that PLA can be converted into compost in municipal composite facilities. So, it can be thermally processed with minimal changes to standard machineries. The third category of green plastics includes polyhydroxyalkanoates. It is often called as PHA. PHA is produced from renewable sources by microorganisms through fermentation process followed by harvesting it using any of chemicals such as chloroform or methylene chloride or propylene chloride. This PHA is also belongs to the biodegradable thermoplastic polymers. PHA has the capacity to be used as a substitute for other plastics. They can be accumulated to high levels in bacteria, that is 95% of the cellular tri-weight, and their structures can be manipulated by genetic or physiological strategies. The physical properties and biodegradability of PHAs can be regulated by blending with synthetic or natural polymers. Application of PHA both in quantity and type has expanded, particularly over the past 2 to 3 decades. Earlier applications were mainly in the areas of cosmetic containers, shampoo bottles, cover for cardboards and papers, milk cartons and films, nappies as a moisture barrier and sanitary towels, pens, etc. Now let us see the potentials and challenges of food packaging material. So, potential application of green plastics include coating materials for food products and as a filler with synthetic packaging materials such as low density polyethylene to accelerate the degradation process. For example, when LDPE blends up with up to 10% cornstarch, it reduces the degradation period from 10 days to 7 days. Unless other items considered for packaging, food items require most stringent packaging requirement. The biopolymers are not widely used in food packaging because of high cost, but the performance wise it is low and it is very difficult to process. The true challenge in the development of biodegradable packaging for food application lies on making polymers which are truly biodegradable into a laminate film or a film blend with properties on par with that of the synthetic laminates. This type of challenge is overcome by making a film blend using suitable material. For example, film blend made of Poulon and PHP provides low oxygen permeability because of Poulon, good flexibility and moisture barrier properties because of PHB. Bio-nano packaging concept is an emerging technology to improve the material properties of green plastics and make them more suitable for food packaging applications. In this technology, biopolymer matrix is reinforced with particles having at least one dimension in the nanometer, that is 1 to 100 nanometer range. The most studied biopolymer matrix includes starch and cellulose derivatives, polylactic acid PLA and polyhydroxyalkanoates, that is PHB. The most promising nanoscale fillers are layered silicate, nanoclays such as montmorillonate and kaolinite. Scope of this technology: the application of nanotechnology in material science opened up new possibilities for improving not only the properties of biopolymers but also improving the cost price efficiency. Nanocomposites are obtained by dispersion method, which when compared with the natural polymers and conventional composites provides an excellent barrier properties to delay the diffusion path more tortuous. Bio nanocomposite is commonly prepared using ball milling method. This is the tortuous path. The water vapor or oxygen will take more time to enter into the food products. Method of preparation of bio nanocomposite. Composite material can be defined as a combination of two or more materials which are physically distinct, readily distinguished by microscopy, dispersed in a controlled way to achieve optimum properties, and in which the properties are superior to those of the individual components. The International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry defines a composite as a multi-component material comprising multiple different phase domains in which at least one type of phase domain is a continuous phase. In case of nanocomposite, at least one of the phases has one dimension of the order of nanometer. In nanocomposites, nanoparticles are found as a dispersion in a continuous matrix. Nanoparticles may be nanometer fibers, principally carbon nanotubes, or intercalcation and or exfoliation of the smectite minerals. Polymer clay nanocomposites fall in the last category and owe their prominence largely to the rapid commercial exploitation of nylon clay composites for engine components by Toyota Automotive Corporation. Polymer clay composites based on layered silicates can be classified into three types depending on the extent of separation of the silicate layers: conventional composites, intercalcated nanocomposites, and exfoliated nanocomposites. Conventional composites or microcomposites results when both silicate phase and the polymer phase do not intermix at all. The intercalcated structure results from penetration of the single polymer chain into the galleries between the silicate layers, resulting in formation of alternate layers of polymers and inorganic layers. An exfoliated structure results when the individual silicate layers are completely separated and dispersed randomly in a polymer matrix. Usually, exfoliated structure is preferred because they provide the best property improvements. Let us see what are the different type of bio-nanocomposites available for food packaging applications. There are three bio-nanocomposites commonly used. One is cellulose based nano reinforcement, starch nanocrystals, chitin or chitosan nanoparticles. Cellulose nanofibers are an alternative class of nanomaterials of low cost, lightweight and high strength nanocomposites. Basically, two types of nano reinforcement can be obtained from cellulose, such as microfibrils and viscose. In plants or animals, the cellulose chains are synthesized to form microfibrils or nanofibers, which are bundles of molecules that are elongated and stabilized through hydrogen bonding. The microfibrils have nano-sized diameters 2 to 20 nanometers depending on the origin and length in the micrometer range. Each microfibril is formed by aggregation of elementary fibrils, which are made up of crystalline and amorphous parts. The crystalline parts is termed as viscous. Viscous are also called as nanocrystals, nanorods, or rod-like cellulose microcrystals with length ranging from 500 nanometer up to 1 to 2 nanometer. The diameter is around 8 to 20 nanometer or less. The main method used to obtain cellulose viscose has been acid hydrolysis. consisting basically in removing the amorphous region present in the fibrils, leaving the crystalline regions intact. The dimensions of the viscous after hydrolysis depends on the percentage of amorphous region in the bulk fibrils, which varies for each organisms. Cellulose viscous are not yet commercially available. Instead, microcrystalline cellulose, that is called MCC, closely related item which is available commercially. MCC is formed by particles of hydrolyzed cellulose consisting of a very large amount of cellulose microcrystals together with amorphous areas. MCC is prepared by removing part of the amorphous region by acid degradation, leaving the less accessible crystalline region as fine crystals of typically 200 to 400 nanometer in length. Let us discuss about the starch nanocrystals. Starch nanocrystals, when hydrolyzed below gelatinization temperature for extended time, facilitate the separation of crystalline lamella which are more resistant to hydrolysis. The starch crystalline particles show platelet morphology with a thickness of 6 to 8 mm. Then the next one is the chitin or chitosan nanoparticles. The chitin viscous are obtained by acid hydrolysis of chitin. The average length of the viscous ranging from 400 to 600 nanometer and diameter ranging from 30 to 50 nanometer. Many researchers reported that when chitin viscous are added to the biopolymers, their properties were improved drastically. Chitosan nanoparticles can be obtained by ionic gelation, where the positively charged amino groups of chitosan from electrostatic integrations with the polyanions employed as crosslinkers such as tripolyphosphate. It is prepared using chitosan tripolyphosphate nanoparticles and incorporated them into hydroxypropyl methylcellulose films and reported that addition of CS-TPP nanoparticles significantly improved mechanical and barrier properties of the film. So far we discussed about what is green plastics, what are the different types of green plastics, how you can classify green plastics, and how to improve the properties of green plastics if you want to use that in the food packaging applications, isn't it? Now to conclude this, the green plastics, no doubt they are a very good alternative for the synthetic food packaging material, but one thing you should understand is that the properties of this green plastics has to be changed or has to be modified with the help of the bio nano composites. Unless otherwise it is done, the properties may not suit the green plastics for the food packaging applications. And one more thing is that you need to understand the safety aspects of the bio nano composites if you want to include that in the green plastics. Absolutely, there is no problem with the green plastics, but when you include the bio nano composites into the green plastics to improve their properties, so you need to take care of the safety aspects of this nano composites.